Hello guys, from the Stena line, Belfast to Liverpool ferry terminal. Just got here on the bus and blew an egg, right? The last bus from Belfast city centre is 18:30 for this 22:30 overnight sailing. It's like, why can't I just have one, I don't know, about 8 o'clock, something like that? That would make sense, wouldn't it? It's 2000 hours. Anyway, I've got plenty of time to kill, but you know what? I was looking at accommodation in Belfast because I wasn't even going to take this sailing tonight. I was going to do it tomorrow, and you know they were asking, like, getting on towards £80 to £100 for the night, and I thought, well, I might as well just book a cabin on board, including the ferry sailing. I mean, that's going to be slightly cheaper, or at the worst, at the same price. So I might as well get on there tonight. I booked an outside 4-berth cabin just for myself, and enjoy the crossing. So, well, I was going to say, why don't you come with me? But I don't even think it's time for foot passengers to check in yet. But we'll go and see. I think just figure it all out, and I'll catch you in the ferry terminal. Well, I made the quick walk over to the foot passenger entrance. A slightly grumpy welcome initially, if I'm being honest, but they were able to check in early arrivals, and obviously just meant a longer wait in the departure lounge. There are worse places to be though. There's free Wi-Fi, a small cafe, a large TV and toilets. Vehicle drivers and passengers in the queue lines outside also have access, and yeah, overall it's a pretty good modern space. I did a couple of laps of the perimeter fence to keep me busy, and before long the foot passenger bus turned up, which looked remarkably similar to the one that brought me here. And I thought I'd head up to the front seats on the top deck, which gave me some great views of the ship, and in particular the entrance to vehicle deck 3, which really felt like you were being swallowed up by the ferry. And lots of trailers on board tonight, as you can see. I headed up to the passenger areas via the green stairs here, which brought me out onto deck 7, next to the luggage storage and the shop. And we'll have a proper look at this in a short while, but I was quite hungry, so I turned around and I headed for the main restaurant, which is on the same deck and overlooks the bow of the ship. Right then guys, so we boarded around about 9:10 in the PM, and I thought it would be a good idea to head straight for the Taste restaurant on deck 7. Which turned out to be a really good idea actually, because there was nobody in here. I was the first person at the counter. I even had to ask them if they were open or not, and they were. So yeah, so I've gone for the fish and chips, unsurprisingly, and yeah, I think it's with the Pepsi, £17.50. Yeah, chip prices. They're okay, aren't they? They're not extortionate. They're not particularly cheap either, but they're not too bad. It certainly wouldn't put me off having a meal on board anyway, and I am quite hungry. So yeah, a great view of everybody else coming on. We were one of the first people on board as foot passengers. The bus boarded before any of the car passengers, so that was really good actually. So yeah, got plenty of time now to eat this, and then we'll head out on deck before it gets dark. I'll show you a little bit of the outside space. Catch you in a bit. Did you notice over my shoulder was the Silversea Cruises Ultra Luxury Silver Shadow? 388 passengers, 295 crew. I bet they weren't eating fish and chips on there tonight. Anyway, I've finished mine, and not the greatest fish and chips I've ever had, but it filled me up, and I decided to head up to deck 8 and the Sky Bar, which is where most people seem to be congregating at this point in time. Well, it's a nice open space here with the high roof, and if you've travelled on any of the E-Flexer ships operating on the Irish Sea, you'll notice that they're all pretty much the same design really. Now, off the rear of the bar are 2 small movie lounges which are free, and it's just cabins after that. I would return to this area later for a drink, but before heading out to watch our departure, I took the stairs up to deck 9, which was where my cabin was located tonight. Alright then guys, so in our cabin for tonight's crossing 966 on deck 9 obviously, and so yeah, as I said before, it's a 4-berth cabin, and yes, you can see that the bed's just made up for me because as per usual I am travelling on my own. But I do have an outside cabin tonight, so I'm not going to see that much. Oh, it's going to be dark in an hour, but it might wake me up in the morning. blind, which I'll probably break if I try to fiddle with it. Anyway, okay, so what have we got here? We've got conventional plug sockets and 2 USBs there, UK conventional plug style, I should add. And LCD reading lights there, I quite like those. Before we go in the bathroom, I just wanted to show you the TV. There's live TV on here, and also some very useful information, which I may crib from in a bit. Yeah, and 8 hours, it's not the longest crossing in the world. More UK conventional plug sockets down there. Just going to pause this for a minute. And we're back in the room. Yeah, that is the third time now that there has been an announcement about car alarms. You always get some that will not turn them off, don't know how to turn them off, or just don't care. All I can say is I'm glad I'm on deck 9 and not on deck 8, which is directly above deck 7. And the car alarms. Right, okay, so as I was saying, the UK conventional plug sockets there, plus more USBs and a small chair, which nobody probably uses. Oh yes, just past the mirror here, you have a small wardrobe there, or at least some coat hooks, not coat hooks, clothes hangers. What am I talking about? Hello. The bathroom now, yeah, it's a fairly new ship this, and so I would expect the bathroom to be fairly modern, and it is. And yeah, a lot better than some of the older ferries, isn't it? This a nice sizable shower space, everything's clean, it's, yeah, absolutely fine, no problem with that. And there's coat hooks. That's what I meant to say. Okay, great, right, we were going to head out, weren't we? Head out onto deck, and yeah, before it gets dark, so come with me, going to put a jumper on, and I'll see you outside in a minute. I thought I'd head towards the stern of the ship first and position myself next to the flag of convenience. Yeah, I have mentioned this subject before, as I know Irish ferries have a similar arrangement, but please feel free to leave your thoughts on this in the comments below. What do you think was the root cause? A one-word answer will suffice. Car alarms were still going off, you will notice, as the ship began to move away from the dock. Rotating 180 degrees, we would be heading out of Belfast in a northeasterly direction before turning approximately southeast, passing the Isle of Man in the middle of the night and reaching the mouth of the Mersey by first light in the morning. It was really quiet up here on the top deck of deck 10, and this is known as the sun deck. Now, I'm sure it's a really pleasant place to be in the day when the sun's out. The helicopter landing point is up here, hopefully we wouldn't need that tonight, and there's also a few seats dotted about. The outside deck space, it's clean, tidy, and most importantly, there's lots of it. And compare this with something like Irish Ferries MS Ulysses. The latter, well, it can carry many more passengers, but outside space on that and access to it is limited, and in my opinion, is pretty poor. And in addition to the open spaces on the top of the ship and the stern, you've also got some deck access back down on deck 7, from where I watched our ship moving slowly out of port. Right guys, well, we are underway. A bit early, it's about 10 past 10 in the PM. But that doesn't mean we're going to get an extra line in bed. I bet it gets into Birkenhead for Liverpool around about 10 past 6 now. Anyway, it's kind of good because it's still relatively light outside, so I can show you some great shots of our departure. And then obviously we're going out into the Irish Sea, so yeah, let's enjoy these few minutes. And then before bedtime, it's going to be time for a drink, isn't it? the light was fading and it was getting a bit chilly too. I went back inside deck 9 where there is a window here overlooking the bar, but before I could have a drink I still needed to show you guys the rest of the ship, and these useful deck plans would help me to do just that. As you can see, most of the facilities are located on decks 8 and 7, so let's start at the bottom and work our way up. This is the shop, or the outlet on board I think it says here. All the usual stuff was inside, lots of alcohol and perfumes, and there were lots of Irish themed gifts, mostly centred around the word Guinness from what I could make out. Behind the shop, from footage I shot earlier, is the cafe barista and stairs up to the sky bar on deck 8. The information desk, guest services, is located to the right of the stairs in this shot. Also on deck 7 is the kids play area, Happy World, and the taste restaurant that you saw me in earlier. So up to deck 8, and forward of the sky bar are a few slot machines, claw machines and video games. And after that on the starboard side is the truckers lounge. I would love to know how much a plate of fish and chips and a Pepsi costs in there. And now we are making our way to the Stena Plus lounge, the Hugin lounge and the living room, of which only the latter is free and accessible to me tonight. And here it is, the living room. A nice cosy lounge actually if you're not interested in staying in the bar. And forward of that is the Hugin lounge with reclining seats, TVs and a coffee machine by the looks of it. And then we've got the Stena Plus lounge, which normally has complimentary drinks, snacks, etc. also for an additional charge. And incidentally, unlimited Wi-Fi was provided for just £2, which I thought was quite good value really, but yeah, being a night crossing, I didn't bother with it as hopefully I'd be spending most of the journey asleep in the cabin. So finally it was time for a well-earned drink, a Guinness naturally for the unnatural price of £6.70, but it did go down very well indeed. Now I retired to my cabin for the night where, guess what, announcements were still being made.
TIG 5478.
The announcement of shame.
DMZ.
And it's still going. All these people have their car alarms going off.
CTR.
And it's annoying, isn't it? Especially on an overnight crossing when people are trying to sleep. It's inconsiderate. They should line them all up against the information desk, march them to their cars with people throwing things at them. I think that would be suitable punishment. And it's still going on now. Morning guys, from the Stena Embla top deck, deck 10, or top passenger deck anyway. And yeah, we're just coming into port. We have got about 35 minutes to run. Estimated time of arrival is 6:30 in the morning. We have New Brighton over there. Looking good on this rather grey dull morning, and Liverpool docks right there, and beyond that of course the Liverpool city centre. And yeah, at least it's not raining, I suppose. Not a bad crossing overall. What I'm going to do is take a few more shots of our arrival. When I get off the ship, I'll be summarising my thoughts then. So, yeah. Oh, and also grabbing a coffee. Yeah. So I'm going to watch our approach now as we sail down the Mersey, and I'll catch you a little bit later on. Yeah, now don't forget, although Stena market this route as Belfast to Liverpool, or vice versa, the ferry actually docks in Birkenhead at 12 Quays Terminal, which is on the other side of the Mersey. So, unlike the Isle of Man steam packet terminal, don't expect to be walking off the ship and straight into Liverpool city centre. In fact, it's a good walk to the nearest railway station, Hamilton Square, from where you can get into the city centre or anywhere else via the National Rail network. Alternatively, you can walk to the Mersey ferry terminal at Woodside, and it's about the same distance, approximately 1 mile. There is a bus that stops outside the Stena terminal apparently, but yeah, depending on your time of arrival, it could be a bit of a wait. The only other alternative, of course, is a taxi. Now ultimately, I think the terminal here is more suited to cars and freight, with quick access to the M53 motorway. It would be nice if Stena put on a shuttle bus to Liverpool city centre, especially seeing as they market it as Belfast to Liverpool, but at the time of this video, I don't think foot passengers were really that much of a consideration. We sailed past what looked like a very large industrial unit down by the docks here, which I believe is some kind of football stadium. I wouldn't recommend it, to be honest. There is a much better one at the top of the hill. Yeah, joking aside though, it's definitely worth getting up early and heading out on deck for our sail up the Mersey. There's lots of interesting things to see, like the modern cathedral-like Kingsway or Wallasey Tunnel venting station here, and the Seacombe Mersey ferry terminal next to it. And on the Liverpool side, of course, you have the famous Liver building, in front of which is the cruise terminal and the Pierhead terminal for the Mersey ferry. I may do a video on the save away ticket one day. I think that's really good value for multimodal travel in the Merseyside area. And talking about price, my total cost for this one-way crossing was £124.90. £85 of that was for the 4-berth outside cabin, and like I said before, I don't think that's too bad when you consider that accommodation that night in Belfast would have been at least that amount anyway, minimum. Now, I paid considerably more for less on my recent Stena journey from Liverpool to Travemünde, and this is a much better ship with better food, better facilities, better staff, better everything really. But what do you think? Let me know in the comments below. We arrived alongside the dock roughly on time 06:30. You can see the Queensway tunnel venting station in the background here, the second of the Mersey tunnels. As with most of my foot passenger ferry experiences, it was a case of waiting inside until given the all clear to walk down to the vehicle deck and our waiting bus. Well, the bus reversed out of the stern this time, which I wasn't expecting, and yeah, the weather was brightening up a bit, as you can see. At the end of the ramp, the bus turns round and it drives us over to the terminal building. Well, too early for the scheduled bus to Liverpool city centre, I chose to walk down to the nearest railway station, and whilst doing so, also decided to summarise the journey. Alright guys, just got off the Stena Embla docking in Birkenhead. Pretty much on time actually, and as a foot passenger had to wait about 15 minutes until we were able to disembark using the bus provided by Stagecoach. And talking about buses, well, there seems to be a bus due at 7:22 from the terminal building, but I've just decided to walk. It's about 20 minutes apparently from the terminal building to Hamilton Square, and then I'll catch a train which will take me home. But yeah, what did you think of the Stena Embla? Let me know in the comments below. All in all, it was perfectly acceptable ship, wasn't it? Really nice smooth crossing, all the amenities on board that you would expect, and yeah, price is a little bit expensive maybe. The overall price I didn't think was too bad, considering I was thinking about stopping overnight in Belfast. So yeah, overall a pleasant enough crossing. What's the alternative? If you want to go from Belfast to Liverpool, well, you've got to fly, haven't you, really? Or you can go the long way round via Ryan up in Scotland. So yeah, just making my way now. So thank you very much for watching. If you want to see some of my other Stena videos, then click on any of the links around the screen now. I'll catch you on another adventure soon. And as always guys, until the next time, cheers for now.